I've known a couple people that have ditched their jobs just to go travelling, but it seems like there's almost this modern cynicism at the moment towards sticking to your guns in a career. People want to go away from a life that is structured and a steady career to something that is like a bit more formless. One where there is freedom with no company to keep you in one place that is mandated by superiors and different types of colleague. A life that maybe is a bit more meaningful. This week I'm going to be talking about this lovely book called The Pathless Path, Imagining a New Story for Work and Life by Paul Millard. This book I've actually originally found through Ali Abdaal's YouTube channel, where he was noting a very special appreciation for it. It's nice to have a book that is actually reassuring. I feel like there's this expectation with life that if you don't have everything in order by a certain time or a certain age, you're considered like a failure or your life is not worth anything. But I think it's true. It's a sentiment that we all share with one another. But this is the main point of the book, is that sometimes not having a direction is actually a really good thing. It seems that people can fall into this life script, which, according to researchers Dorf Bernstein and David Rubin, shows a consistency in the events that happen in these scripts. People get married, people have children, retire, and so on and so on. The common theme that is throughout the book is that there seems to be an explosion of options in the modern world. We tend to go for the safest choices available without a consideration for anything else. Just to name an example, I had a moment when I was doing a placement for a top national newspaper that made me question my career path of wanting to become a reporter or a writer. Part of me was really excited because I was going to be at a national newspaper. Like, who wouldn't want that opportunity? But this all turned when I saw a senior journalist that was managing the news desk. She was very witty, very charming, but she had this rounded back and hunched figure, probably from all of those years looking over articles and general desk work. Now, appearance isn't everything, but if your work environment or job leaves you with all sorts of problems and issues down the line, you have to question, is it actually worth it? What Paul Millard also talks about is this idea of prestige. In essence, is where your decisions are factored into the idea that you're trying to impress certain people. This can affect the type of jobs that you go for, the people that you're friends with, the people that you date. This also can affect the type of hobbies that you enjoy. I'm looking at golfers. They are very, very pretentious people. No, I'm joking. I just can't play golf. According to philosopher Andrew Taggart, there are things called existential openings. These openings make us consider what is truly important to us. These are usually caused by tragic circumstances such as the loss of a loved one. They are also triggered when there are moments that are truly inspiring and motivating to you. This is called the way of wonderment. For myself, I had this experience when I was traveling across Africa almost 10 years ago actually. It's been a long time. But when I was traveling, I was having these existential moments where I was thinking, wow, my beliefs and perspectives are being changed by the people that I've met and places that I've been to. However, to those who don't know me too well, I had an existential opening a couple years ago, and it was actually quite tragic. I lost my dad to cancer. I actually think this created an opening, and till this day I have to continually remind myself of my own mortality and the gratitude I should have to be able to have the things that I have in my life and continue to experience. Professors Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun have noted this idea as post-traumatic growth. This is quite obvious. It's the idea of an event that is tragic or unfortunate that puts people on a path that makes them have more meaningful relationships and have more purposeful lives. There's a lot of growth that can come from the bad things in your life, and I think we should never be afraid of those changes to happen. What Paul mainly notes in the book is how a lot of people tend to attach a sense of meaning to their work. Before, it always seems to be this idea that is thrust upon people. Like every time I go onto Instagram, it's filled with all these ways to have a side hustle hack, alternatives to your job. Not saying that these aren't good opportunities, but it's become a part of our culture. You're not just one thing anymore. You're all different skills, you're all different attributes. According to a survey of employees in the United States, around 78% of participants thought that their job owed them an experience that looked after them mentally and physically. Also, in another study that was conducted, it was found that people that didn't work tended to be less friendly and less hardworking and less open to new experiences. But Paul took a different stance, eventually quitting his high-paying job and the stresses that came with that, which is a very ballsy move. And with so many measures of wealth and success in our lives, even people that earn 6 to 7 figure salaries on occasion do tend to feel quite insecure in relation to their higher earning peers. It's like an extreme glass ceiling that is inescapable. Something that Paul experienced and recognised when he left his high-paying career in consulting is that he felt really burnt out. According to Herbert Freudenberger, wow, that is a name, who originated this phrase, burnout often affects the more driven and committed people in an organisation. It's this balancing act and need to please managers or superiors and also work hard towards targets is what causes this issue. I found this to be the case the most in customer involving jobs where neither of the problems are easy to tackle and they're quite difficult, and in the heat of the moment they really do push you to your limit. And it's this act of having to continue to please customers or clients or superiors that leads to a decline in mental health. I'm sure many of us have been in situations where we've had deadlines, we've had to prioritize over taking breaks or even getting a good night's sleep. But I think sometimes it takes a conscious effort to step back, take a look at your situation to stop this from happening, and maybe it might be worth taking a break. Well, Paul Millard recommends, very similar to Tim Ferriss in his 4-Hour Workweek book, is the effect of mini experiments. This might not be the immediate break where you picture yourself on a bike traveling across Vietnam. That's although there's nothing wrong with that. But it might be the idea of having to look at activities that push you outside your comfort zone and into the unknown. That's how I got into boxing, something that to this day has provided numerous benefits to me in confidence and fitness and health. By doing this, it can actually help change your worldview, which actually can shape your beliefs as a person. Now with the internet, which Paul notes throughout the book, it's even easier to find your tribe nowadays. Like if you blog like I have done in the past, when people like and comment on your posts, you actually have a digital sense of a community and a tribe. As much as companies can force the collaboration between co-workers, finding your sense of community might not come from the people that you spend your time with normally. I'm friends with people that are bodybuilders, artists, musicians, boxers. But the thing is, although these are quite different people in terms of what they do, is what links us together is we all want a good life. We want to find what is meaningful to us. Now, I know what you're thinking. Maybe you're wondering if you want to try a change in your life, but you're worried about disappointing someone that you care about. Well, no matter what, I think everyone has the right to an opinion. You can't control these things. But if people do actually care about you at the end of the day, they will enjoy seeing you develop and finding meaning within yourself. Nothing is more attractive than someone with clear principles finding time for family or friend time, for instance. Well, Paul also recognised, and I value this as being quite important as well, is the act of non-doing. He talks about the Chinese phrase which is called Wu Wei, which translates to pretty much that exactly. In our lives where everything has to be numbered and put on a spreadsheet, the time that we have not to be actively sending messages on our phone or responding to emails is actually really crucial. And we all know of meditative practices, but most of us don't understand the benefit behind it. We know there's something good about it. We just imagine that there's some guy that's cross-legged, you know, doing the whole thing, like in a room that's like reeking of incense. Like, all jokes aside, it's all about being present and paying attention to what is physical within yourself and maybe even in front of you. Now, a couple of these points are some of the things that I've covered in my mindfulness video over here. So click here to find that out as well if you haven't already seen. But the thing is, going on from this, there's a lot of freedom that comes in being present. It's the idea that we're releasing all this anxious energy and control that we have and being open to the experiences that are all around you. Now, how much money is honestly enough in your opinion? Most people actually aim for the million number because they just want to be labelled a millionaire. Like, I'm guilty of this. Financial writer Morgan Housel actually made, which is a very good point, and is the idea that most people want to spend $1 million, but most people don't want to have $1 million. I'll be honest, I'm very guilty of this idea. It's only when I got X amount that I can do this thing that I've always wanted to do. And this is a really damaging philosophy because your self-esteem is based upon this continual chase of a carrot. Like, freedom isn't something that you buy, it's like something you experience. It's something that you feel on the inside. Another point that Paul brings up, which I think is actually quite crucial as well, and this is called like the misery tax. And the misery tax, this is the idea that you have a minimum spend per month, which is required to keep you slogging away in your full-time career. In the past, for me, it's been alcohol and lots of expensive food. To add another additional point as well, more interestingly enough, in a 2013 study of the global pay rate, it was found that only 26% of the global population was found to actually work full-time. That leaves 74% that either works part-time or literally not at all. Like, something doesn't add up, let's be honest. And one more point that Paul Millard mentions in the book to really hammer this point home is that if the culture doesn't work, don't buy it, create your own. And I think we need to be having deeper conversations with ourselves. This sometimes means taking yourself out of the consumerist bubble and disconnecting entirely. Find your purpose, explore, be creative. Don't worry too much about getting it right. Like, life is too short for that. Keep working, keep improving, and as always, thank you so much to everyone that's watching. Thank you to Paul for this amazing read. I honestly enjoyed it so much, so definitely give this guy some love and read the book for yourself. Anyway guys, as always, if you like this, comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye bye.